What is your best I definitely did not deserve that grade story from school? Did not happen to me, but my grammatically challenged roommate at the time. We were instructed to write a how-to paper for sophomore English class. We had to pick our topics during class and tell the teacher. Someone sitting close to us came up with the topic of how to write an A paper. So naturally, my friend goes with how to write an F paper. His intentions were to write it as best as he could and receive an A. He wrote it so poorly and with multiple spelling and grammatical errors that the teacher loved the satirical vibe he demonstrated in his paper and promptly gave him an A. That's actually a ducking great idea. In first year university, I wrote a paper in a sociology class where I mixed up the word more's a type of social norm and more a type of eel, and as such wrote about the impact of eels on law. For some reason, the tar thought my eel law paper wasn't too horrible and gave me a B. She told the entire class someone wrote about social eels and that we needed to be more careful with our spelling, though. You now have me thinking of eel customs, politics, and warfare between eel tribes and eel settlers. It's glorious. In my college dynamics course we had a group project that we assigned different sections to do within our group. It was an incredibly difficult project, so we couldn't just completely split off and do it on our own, but there were easier sections that could be done by one person. Anyways, in a group of 3, one of our guys just never showed up to any of our meetings. We are not techs and we get that we are busy and all that, so we just give him the easier stuff to do when he can get around to it. So my friend and I pull all-nighters until we finally complete it a few days before it was due. We send what we have to the third guy and he assures us that he'll get the rest done. We check up on him the day before asking if he wants help, and he says that he's got it and he'll bring the completed project into class. Of course he walks in and says, "Sorry guys, I never got around to it." We were basically missing the easiest 1/3 of our project because he couldn't tell us he needed help. I explained the situation to the teacher, but he had no sympathy. He said, "In the real world you live, and I by the people by your side," and graded us for what we completed. So surprise, we failed. I didn't talk to that kid for the rest of the semester, even though he sat right next to me. Left one high school shortly after semester break. All teachers gave me an A because they didn't have anything to go on. Went to another state and they were so far into the semester all teachers decided they couldn't hold me responsible for what they already taught, so they all gave me whatever grade I came in with. Only time in my life I got all A's. Edit. Sure wasn't expecting this answer to blow up like this. Now my top rated comment in 3 years, so not only did I get all A's, but I got a Reddit A+. And all your teachers look brilliant for having an all A student like yourself. #EVERYBODYWINS. Turned in the same essay twice, got 2 different grades. Did the same with a sculpture. He went on and on about the clear improvements in craftsmanship since last week. Smile and nod. How the duck. That's literally all of art class. In year 9 US grade 8 history, we were given a small assignment as homework over the weekend. I can't remember what the assignment was on, probably the tutor's tutors or something, but it had to be around 500 words and summarize what we'd been doing for the past few weeks. Nothing too hard. I completed the homework to what I considered a reasonable standard and handed it in. However, when I received the grade, I was awarded a D, with the teacher's primary criticism being that I hadn't written enough material. I was confused by this, since I'd written around 500 words like he'd asked. He told me to go away and redo it better. After getting home, I had some time to compare my work with my friends. I'd written the essay in size 11 font times New Roman, and I had neglected to include any images. This is pretty standard for higher grade academic work, but most of my peers had used size 14. Some even used Comic Sans. So what did I do? I scaled up the text, increased the spacing, and slapped a couple of generic pictures of Henry VIII's face on there, and handed it in the next morning. Lo and behold, after he graded it, I got an A, and a special mention for my hard work. I have never been so thrilled with myself, and so disappointed in a teacher in my life. It just goes to show how another person's laziness can screw you over. Edit. Spelling. Ninth grade spelling and vocab test. The word was ascend, which I defined as to gain in altitude. I was marked wrong. The teacher was looking for to go up, like on a ladder. This was 16 years ago, and I remember this conversation verbatim. Edit. Wow. My highest comment. I lost a mark for saying that microscope lenses should only be cleaned with delicate task wipes. Kim Wipes brand delicate task wipes was the answer she wanted. I still feel a little bitter every time I look at a box of them. Was your school sponsored by Kim Wipes? Lol. English 101. I forgot that an essay was due that following afternoon, but had to work and study for a more important chemistry course. Downloaded the smallest JPEG file I could find, converted it into a PDF and submitted the essay in hopes the professor would ask to send it again, and it would give me a buffer time of 24 to 48 hours. Check the grade module, and got full points. No questions asked. Man, I used to do that, rename a JPEG to a doctric to buy time, but it never occurred to me to pick small images. I wonder if my professors ever noticed I was handing in 500 KB Word documents that were supposed to be 3,000 word essays. Geez, I didn't even think about file sizes. I would just open a different doc essay with Notepad, deleted a line, then saved it as doc. Then when you open it again, it'll be corrupted or a jumble of nonsense. I swear to God, this is what got me through high school. Even if I was just a couple of hours late, I'd upload a corrupted file to the thing that hands in your work online that's only open until the time the teacher decides. Finish the assignment a couple of hours late, then send them the finished file on an email explaining that my laptop was messing around and I wanted to make sure they got a proper copy of it, so I didn't get in trouble for not handing it in. Usually got a grade better than my average any time I did this. Edit. Random letter sneaking in where it didn't belong. The qualifications to access university in Scotland are what are known as hires. I took higher English, but I'm kinda shit at English. But good enough to pass the exam. When our prelim sort of test exam rolled around in February, I failed it by like 2%, and the teacher decided that I wasn't good enough to sit the higher exam. She'd keep me in the class, but when the exams rolled around, I'd sit the lower tier intermediate 2 exam, which would give me a lower tier qualification, which is useless for just about anything. I sat this exam and ended up getting an a useless ducking A, which would be no help in getting me into university, effectively wasting my whole year in that class. This was 13 years ago now, and I'm still annoyed. Took biology and economics my freshman year of college and made the mistake of doing both classes in the morning. I worked swing/graveyard shift. The biology class was graded solely on 3 exams. The dates for them were in the syllabus, along with a summary of chapters covered in each. I only showed up on the first day and 3 exam days, crammed the night before each time, and did really well on the tests. Got an A. Economics was harder. Participation and attendance counted toward the grade, and a test date was moved, so I missed taking it. Fortunately, I had a buddy in the class who signed my name on the attendance sheet that day, and was therefore able to convince my professor that he must have lost my exam. He let me retake it, and I eked out a B. Edit. For all those commenting on how their universities check student IDs, have digital exams, or comprehensive honor codes, I should clarify that this was a community college in a small town, and this happened almost 20 years ago. The school didn't issue student IDs. They made a photocopy of your driver's license when you first showed up to enroll. You never saw a computer in a classroom unless you were taking a class about computers, and most of the professors gave out their landline office phone number on the syllabus instead of their email, as they didn't all have /use email. If there was an honor code, I don't think it wasn't taken particularly seriously. One of the professors once told us that the school's funding was based on attendance, which is why no one ever cared if we were late to class, as long as we signed the attendance sheets. College has apparently changed somewhat. Your friend is a hero. This is from college, and it happened very recently. I take programming classes, and our mid-exam was to complete pre-written codes. The purpose of the code was to assign characteristics to a rocket. When the required characteristics are filled, the rocket will launch, and the completion status must be 100% for this to happen. If the completion status goes below 90%, the rocket won't launch. You get the idea. I was never good at programming. I understood the logic, but writing the codes down is like writing an alien language. The exam was 2 hours, and in the span of 2 hours my completion status was a mere 20%. My friends got 65%, 80%, even one was smart enough to change the pre-written codes and got 100%. I accepted the fact that I might fail this class and submitted my exam. I don't exactly know how the gods work up there, but I got a 95 on my mid-exam. Yes, 95. What the duck? I emailed the lecturer asking about how I got such score, and he said though I didn't get 100%, I implemented polymorphism into the codes, and he thought it was impressive. To this day I still don't know what the duck polymorphism is, and how in the world I could have implemented that shit on my program.